snacks while we're having.
Okay.
We just went to the Nifty Nut House, so.
Let's call the meeting
Gotta make my
order.
run.
Call the meeting order at 4 o'clock, so, we do have a quorum. Welcome, Jesse. I realized you didn't get here, but good to see you. We do have some folks sitting in the back counter here, so at this time, we would, open public comment for whomever might wish to address the council or board here. Individually.
We're here to join the discussion on the item 3 on the agenda, league policies and memory.
Would you like to come up the front?
When we get to that point, we can bring up public
That
comment.
same reason? No other
That and the
comment?
rates, so,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine. Having that, then we'll wait until the discussion comes up on, rates and some, league rules and what have you, and some of the new business or continuation of business. Announcements. Does the board have anything they'd like to announce? We did have some real good development last month. We are in the process of confirming a contract with a company for the purposes of Sioux Park. They're in negotiation with Landscapes Unlimited, and we do have a design company looking at the facility in order to get the best system that we can get for the costs. So it is an ongoing discussion that which we hope to have a contract in place pretty rapidly for that purpose. I don't have any other particular announcements other than the fact we did host a open house Saturday, and I think Jesse will probably elaborate on that somewhat.
Yeah, normally I just make the announcements, but I wanted to kind of put some visuals with this. We did have the holiday open house at Auburn on Saturday. Had some great feedback. We had a great turnout. Trevor put this little video together. We used it for social, but I want to play it so you can kind of see if I can figure out how to do this. That's some nice Christmas music for you to go along with it. We had some indoor putting contest and other things. I could have gotten a count. I was running around 100 miles an hour, so I didn't really get a count, but it was packed. The clubhouse was completely full. Very, very happy with how it turned out. We're going to use some of this content to promote the banquet room and some of the things we can do. So, but yeah, Mike and Robert came out, so I appreciate you guys for coming out with that. Hopefully you had a good time. And I went back out Sunday just to hit balls, and I spoke with Randy out there on there, but I had 20 people come up to me and that they came or they heard about it and wish they would have came out. So, yeah, very, very happy. Sydney and Trevor put a ton of work into that. Mike and just threw it off. So thanks everybody for all the work on that. All right, Mike kind of mentioned this. We're looking at going to council to get the contract approved with Landscapes Unlimited for the irrigation project. And right now it looks like we should have work, as long as there's no weird things that happen between now and then. Work should begin possibly January, definitely February. So the goal is to get that complete and wrapped up before golf season really takes off. The course part of the deal is we would only close one hole at a time. And we're hoping to get all that done before March, so or by mid-March. So very obviously that's huge. Very excited to get that over and done with. I kind of teased this last time. I don't think at that point I was able to talk about it, but Michael should say, he out at Auburn, he has been in work and in communication with this group to try to bring a big event to Auburn Hills, and it's the Midwest Deaf Golfers Association. they have about 120 players that come from about 26 states. There's only, he guessed only 3 players from Wichita. They come, last year it was in Illinois. He said they'll be coming from California, from all over the place. It'll be a 4-day event during the week, Monday through Thursday. They'll have morning tea times. We'll still be able to open the porch in the afternoon. But they'll be here for 5 days. They're working, we got them in contact with Visit Wichita to take care of the hotel and all the banquet space they need that goes along with this. But it would bring essentially 250 people to town for 5 days. We've been working with Visit Wichita on the economic calculator to figure out what that brings to just Wichita. It's a huge economic impact. It's a great honor to host this event. And some of the details, like I said, 120 golfers, 26 states, 4 competitive round practice rounds on Sunday. There's a men's and a women's division, and then we partner with, like I said, with Visit Wichita to make sure it's a complete success for this group. So very honored. Michael put a lot of work into this. We met several times, and very excited to be the host for this tournament next year.
Can I ask a couple of questions about that? Do I see dates someplace?
I'm sorry, it's August 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Is that right?
Practice rounds on the 3rd, but August 4th through 7th.
Okay.
And do you need help?
We could use, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, sorry about that. We had talked to them about volunteers and and so we're gonna, closer to the tournament, we'll get in the weeds on what that looks like and put a schedule together and a volunteer list of what we might could use and put that out. So absolutely. All right, and the final announcement I have is in the room with us is our new mechanic that we've waited 2 years to bring on board. So say your last name, so myself.
Jay?
Jason Leger, not Lever. Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to let him come in, speak to you all, kind of give him a little bit of history about himself and just so you can put a face to the name. I can tell you, he spent last week at Mac, ran through Ron shop, fixed all kinds of stuff. He was at Sim today. Very impressed so far. So he's going to be a huge addition. So if you don't mind.
Yeah. Ron, no more excuses.
Well, Bert, thank you. I'm very honored to be in this position. I didn't know I was speaking today, so I'm going to wing it. But just a quick background, I grew up on a small cattle ranch here in Wichita, Kansas, and went to Arizona State University. I worked as an environmental scientist, mainly in water treatment, remediation projects. From there, I worked at a plumbing company where I designed and built solar thermal systems for commercial and residential. Worked in a fabrication shop, running CNC equipment, welding, did the design and fabrication there. Moved back to Wichita in 2015, and I worked at a commercial cleaning company where I repaired a lot of, I was actually operations manager, but there was so much equipment that would break, commercial sweepers, street sweepers. So I have a pretty good background in electronics and hydraulics and anything that can break. So yeah, I was there for 10 years, and I'm hoping to do this job forever. I'm loving it.
Question before you run off.
Yes, sir.
This is for Robert. You said you're in environmental work much. I was just wondering what kind of luck you might have on the ponds over at McDonald Park.
Well, I think Jack's got us pretty well dialed in. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm not sure what the issues are, but I would be happy to take a look at it.
I realize that's kind of a sidelight, but it's something we've been dealing with for how long, Robert?
What are you asking exactly?
Ponds at McDonald Park to make sure that we don't have to keep
Algae problem.
so.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Thinking mechanical. Okay.
No. I told you, I got him off the start. I mean, it's just a problem that's been ongoing and they're shallow ponds due to some silt infiltration and what have you, but Ron keeps taking shots at trying to eliminate the moss and algae problem. So we would be open to any kind of advice that you may have if you've been in that business.
Other questions for?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last announcement I have, I think, I know Robert, I think, Marcia, I think I heard you say you just went out to the First Tee building. They had kind of open to walk through and take a look where they're at. They're well ahead of schedule. They're looking at a mid-March, open date for that building. It's coming along good. When you get inside that building, it's a lot bigger, I thought, than what it looked like from the outside. So when you get in, there's a lot of space in there. Very impressive. It's gonna be awesome when they get that done. So we're looking mid-March. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do out there, so. Update there, and if Trent wanted me to make sure and pass along, if any of you want to go look at it anytime, just reach out to him directly or me, and he's glad to walk in out there and show you around, so. All I've got.
Any further announcements? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval of the last month meeting minutes.
I moved.
Do I have a second? All approved? Aye. Motion carried. Next, we shall get into financial and rounds update.
All right, so again, everything I'm gonna do here goes through the end of November. November, if you remember, we started out with a lot of rain in the beginning of the month, and then it got pretty cold in the second half. So as good as October was, weather was, November was not as good, but we did get some much needed rain. So started out with year-to-date round comparison. We're about almost 9,000 rounds down from last year. Again, that's a big part of Tex being, or a big part of that is Tex being closed. Altogether, we're still above 2022, and all things considered, rounds are still definitely way up. November alone, we did almost the same, 275 rounds less than last year, so pretty much about the same as what we did in 23. And then cart rentals, we've passed last year, so we're at 374, 849. Again, $2 of every cart rental goes into that cart fund to make sure we always have newer carts going forward. Food and beverage comparison, we're nearly dollar to dollar over last year. Again, with the course, one of our busiest courses being closed during the busiest month of the year. Not too mad about that. You can see that Sim and Mac, where we were trying some of the new things, especially in the later part of the year, they've had an increase. We didn't do a lot of banquets at Auburn because we didn't really have the staff until Michael came along, and then by then, you book them in advance. So we're just now getting that going again. And then Trevor's going to talk briefly a little more about food and beverage coming up. Driver range comparison is insane to me. We're 43,000 up over last year, but if you go back to 22, we're 70,000 up over what we did in 22. The driving ranges are getting absolutely hammered, which is it's great from a revenue standpoint, but it's hard to keep your eyes on the same when you're hitting that many range balls. So good and bad. Obviously the revenue is great, but it comes with challenges. And then looking at merchandise and pro shops, we're up a little bit over last year. The biggest increase, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, is Tex being up nearly $20,000 or over $20,000. I talked to Steve, and he said that's mainly a couple of things he thinks. One is having that simulator where you can do club fittings and sell more of the hard goods. And then also he went with a little bit different lineup of merchandise that people really like this year. So he put an order in and he'd sell out and double that order. So did a really good job at Tex. And then of course Auburn, Michael really will start bringing stuff in the spring. He brought some stuff that we need to get through the year, but most of his merchandise will start coming in the spring. So not bad there. And then total revenue for the month of November alone is 415. I think last year we did, I think it was 430 or something like that. I should have that on here, but we were just a little bit down for November, but overall we're up 134,000 over last year. Again, I've said it several times, all things considered, between the closures, the fairway issues, and the cyber attack. Pretty happy that we're even up at all. Looking at the project fund, not a lot of change. We're been really trying to pull back on spending, just trying to figure out how this irrigation thing's gonna go. We still have 190,000 in the big bucket, the general project fund, that I can move to any of these other ones. The CART fund continues to go up even in the slower months, so that money is what it is. It continues to go up, and that plan's working out perfectly. The equipment fund, just over 100,000. That changes by the day. Plus, we have the equipment fund fee that we took out on November 1st. That'll go in there. So realistically, that's probably, once finance does the transfer, about 160,000. Clubhouse fund, we still have about 50,000 left in that, and then the grounds fund about 40,000. So altogether 1.2 million. The true finances from finance, I don't have those. End of the year, they've got so much going on, so they're a little behind getting those in, but I will send those out as soon as they come in. But we should be sitting at about 1.75 in the general fund. So at the end of the year, we'll drop that down to $1 million. Everything else will transfer into this. So now, with that being said, we have a lot of projects between bunker renovations, getting these fairways going. And then Mike and I talked about this, and I actually reached out to the head of finance to kind of get his opinion, but we have, just looking at the irrigation at SIM, we have about $400,000 obligation on our end. It came in right on budget, which is great. But there's about a $400,000 obligation from the golf fund. And once we get finished this year, the finance is closed, and we kind of get going in maybe February, March, I would like to entertain the idea of seeing what we want to pay to that now. We're not really obligated to pay anything, and they're going to put it on a GO bond. Technically, we wouldn't have to make any payments toward that until 26. I don't like having debt. If we can pay what we can pay right now, I would really do so. So I just kind of want to plant that seed right now with you and the board to be thinking about that. So as we get through the year, everything closes out, and we can see exactly where we sit. I would like to at least have that discussion on possibly taking care of SIM, or as much as we can now while all the money is there. Okay, that's all I've got as far as the round report and a little bit of the financial standing. Any questions about this?
Yeah, before we move on from this point, back to the irrigation system for Sims, Jesse had some meetings in terms of combining the wells over there. So we'd only have one pump in Origin. But we're looking at a potential $150,000 that we're gonna need to come up out of operating funds, because that was never included in the original bidding for the irrigation system itself. And the people that know seem to think that those two wells over there need to be combined so that we can get the paperwork satisfied with the state as to the operation of that well.
Essentially, so everyone's up to speed. We, out of nowhere, got a call a week before last. The rights to our main well that we use at SIM is in the city's name. Not, they want to transfer that to the golf division. This is a very complicated thing that I've never dealt with. So if I'm saying something a little bit incorrect, I apologize. But essentially, they said they could at any time say we don't have access to that water anymore. So they're trying to let us do what we need to do to prepare ourselves where we don't ever find ourselves in that situation. It's been this way for 70 years, and because of I can't really explain why all of a sudden this is an issue, but I was in a room with tables full of people that I don't have a clue that were going over all this. And yeah, like Mike said, there's two wells there. We have the main well, which is our number 2 fairway that we use, and then we have a smaller well that is basically just kicks on for backup. If we're running a lot of water and we need a little more. So we don't use that one very much. We knew we were going to have to build a jockey well, if I'm saying that right, on the well that we use the most for the new irrigation system. But because of this meeting and all the paperwork I have to do, we're probably going to have to build just a bigger well and take those two out of commission. We're still kind of working through that, but, with that being the case, that could be upwards of $150,000. Now, we knew we were probably gonna spend 50,000 on a jockey well, but out of nowhere, we get this call and now this is where we're at, so. They did say they could pretty much verbally commit that nothing would happen in 2025, so it's not like we have to have it done tomorrow or we're gonna lose water. But we do need to start working on that and get it done.
Basically, we need to get that done ASAP, as Jesse said, due to the fact that you have to make that connection from that new hole going into the new system, so we really don't want to have to Band-Aid that together, so again, we need to kind of expedite it, and I'm afraid that we're gonna have to tap into that general operation fund for, like I say, upwards of 150,000. So as we do the various projects, we need to keep that in mind as we're going along here. So that all comes in conjunction with how we decide that we need to fulfill the council's mandate for raising fees in order to offset our costs against what the new irrigation would be. So,
On the equipment fund you had up there was at $115,000. I know last month you had a list of equipment, a couple of sprayers, rough mower, or like 4 pieces of equipment that we had planned on buying. Does that 115 take care of those pieces that we are anticipating?
Yeah, the seeder, we've already purchased. The, rock mower for Sim it's already out of that. There's one more piece. Yeah, the sand rig for Tex is out of that. There's 2 rough mowers for Mac and, Auburn that, have not come out of that, but they're about $88,000 for both combined. 44,000 a piece, so.
Okay, so we're still.
again, as we refer to those, the reason they're categorized as is that we have an equipment fund to take care of that. So anything outside of that, we should, there's other monies that not committed, so. Keeping that in mind, everything always looks great until you have to spend it. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
And I will say on the equipment, part of it, just kind of good news. Seems like the equipment is catching up now to the demand. So, the last few years, you try to order something, you may not get it for 16 months when you need it right away. Now, the longest lead time that I've heard is 3 months for any piece of equipment over the last 2 months of trying to put this list together. So it's much better. Yeah.
in terms of equipment, I know that a lot of our employees went to a recent seminar and there was some demos there and some companies that were going with autonomous mower updates and what have you. And I know we've been looking at that as a body, and Jesse's really been looking at it in terms of the way to offset labor problems. And I know we kind of tabled that for a year or two, thinking that the new innovations will become extremely better than the old ones. And I believe that's the case as we looked at several of them up there, and the mowers were getting bigger and covering more territory. And we do believe that the price may come down. Now, I think Ron's over there, he might address that a little bit better than I am at the moment. He probably spoke to more of them than I did, so.
Are you talking about the autonomous mowers?
Autonomous mowers, yeah. But it's gonna be a wave of the future. There's more and more of them, companies coming out now and attempting to meet that need due to the lack of personnel that we've been able to come up with over the years here. So that's a thing of the future that we're gonna have to keep in mind. And it probably will happen. So. Going on, okay. Continuation of prior business. Got several things here. And I think we do have some interest here. members of the audience here that would like to comment on these. I think that, guess we'll go with league policy first.
Yeah, and I guess I'll start out as kind of a reminder of what led to this discussion last month. Tea time availability is the biggest issue that we have. Everyone is fighting for tea times. I said last meeting, I compared it to concert tickets. They go on sale and they're gone immediately. It's a great problem, but it's a problem, and we have to figure out a way to be fair about it, where the same people aren't getting this prime tea times every day, every week, at every course. So with the league, what I would like to do is set the boundaries of what is considered a league. So, you know, I don't want just a group of people that decide, hey, let's get together and call ourselves a league, and then we can get Saturday morning at 8 o'clock every week or whatever. You know, I want to make sure there's some kind of structure in place to keep that from happening. So I've handed you all, there's the sheet here. It says league requirements. And basically I just went through the last meeting, and Jackie in the back of the room really helped me go through that video and the transcript and put this together of all of the different proposed ideas or possibilities on how we go about this, making it a little bit more structured. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully you guys have thought about this, but I'd like to just kind of turn it over to you guys and get your thoughts on anything you've thought about or want to add to the discussion we had from last meeting.
The main complaints for not having tea times available in the morning, is that all week, Monday through Friday, or is it on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday?
It's all week. I do get a lot more on Saturday, but it's every day. It's every day. I mean, there are a lot of times I can say, someone will come in and say, you know, all the tea times are given away, and I can pull up the tea sheet and I can look at every tea time and see how they were made. And most of the tea times it was booked online at 5:01, 5:00, 5 o'clock, 5:02. But there are groups that are on the tea sheet that were booked as a group that, you know, are they really a league, or is it just a group of guys that are playing golf? And, you know, why are they getting special treatment over anyone else that is paying for that tea time? So that's the concern. So if we have a structured league, like what we talked about with bylaws, and it's organized, they sign an agreement with the rules, that's one thing. But if it's just, let's get 8, 9 people together and we can tell them we're a league, and that way we don't have to go through all that mess of trying to fight for tea times. We just get whatever tea time we want every week. That's what I want to avoid.
So if it is a league, like after that meeting, I went online and I just went to Text Consolver to see. Mr. Blasky said, you know, I've got all these leagues. There's a Boeing league and this league and that league, and you've got all these leagues. So when you go online and you look at what league can I join at Text Consolver, there's one league on there. It says Text Consolver Men's Club, contact is Mike Atkins. So hypothetically, if it's a league, should people have a contact point that they can contact to get involved in that league, to play in the league? If it,
I think so. I mean,
hypothetically,
so you brought up bowling. That's a corporate league. That's going to be a different
Okay.
situation. But yeah, the regular daily leagues, I absolutely think so.
I know with me and my wife, we kind of run the couples league out at Auburn, and we're the contact point for that. We get emails and calls from people that want to come out and play couples golf and stuff. I know the men's club also, we have a contact point online, is Jeff Bain. They can get a hold of him and he'll give them all the information they need to, you know, get involved in the league. I think if you're a league, there should be a contact point or something where if people want to join or get involved in the league, it should maybe be on our website to say, here's someone to contact or talk to. Or
I agree. And I think there needs to be some kind of agreement in place that has several things. One, the structure of what the league is, how many people can be in a league. I mean, we can't have a league of 300 people because then there's no tee time. So what, how many times a week you can play? You know, we need to make sure that person is responding and actually, if they're representing the league for the course, they need to be responding. And if someone they don't like wants to get in the league, they can't just say, we don't want them in. You know, that's not, you know, it needs to be open to anyone that who wants to participate in that league. So there's got to be some kind of policy in place that they sign, some kind of agreement, in my opinion, of what all that looks like. And what I'm hoping from this meeting to tell you is that we hash this out. Let me work on that, what that looks like, bring it to the next meeting to vote on, to approve for, to put into use.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the things you have on here, like bylaws. So I'm just gonna take our couples league because I know about that. And there are no bylaws to it. We just get together and put people together and run it. Try to get everybody on the tee sheet, contact Michael and let him know, you know, how many tee times are needed and stuff like that. But there are no bylaws. There are no league fees. People just, there doesn't cost anything to come out and play in the couples league. Anybody can come and do it. Right. It doesn't, it's not. So there's some of these things that
and this is
not
just
applicable to
anything that was brought up in the last meeting. So this is not like what we went through everything that was brought up in the meeting I put on here. So yeah, no, I know some of those things. Today, we don't do them, and not saying we couldn't make bylaws or we couldn't charge a league fee or. I don't know if this is a program I would love to get.
Can we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk.
If you don't mind, could you?
You can talk. Here's what we had together for years.
I'm the old guy.
The big dog golf league, folks.
You can go speak up there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I'm Ron Weller. And, right now, it looks like I represent what we call Big Dog Golf Group. I've been a member of this group for more than 30 years. We've been playing the city courses over that period of time. We locate people in and out. As last few years, it's been harder and harder. I get up every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 5 o'clock. I'd like to get in to try to find me 3 tee times to accommodate the group I have standing by to play Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have another gentleman that gets on the line Saturdays. He gets our weekend tee times. He does the same fight on Saturdays. The line for enough people, or enough tee times in order to get our people access on the weekends. So it's got to the point where getting up at 5 o'clock, maybe you'll get a tee time, maybe you're not, but you see most of the time there's nothing available. So you have to, and we like to rotate courses. That makes it even more difficult. We don't play the same one each week. We try to rotate the 4 city courses and play them in basically 2 groups. So we have been kind of organized for a number of years. We actually lease a handicapping software for our own group. We keep track of our handicaps by course, by tee, and we play any number of games and stuff. So we enjoy the game. We have a group we'd like to be able to get in on equal time. Not have people have to get up like every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning in order to find potential tee times. We have bylaws that roughly describe our groups. We have basically a board of 5 administrators, and they're responsible for managing the tee times, setting player groups, inputting scores, reviewing rules, maintaining the software. We also we organize other tournaments where we use area courses and city courses if we get a chance. But then we have a treasurer who we collect money so we can pay the dues, pay for our handicapping fees. But our biggest issue is had to get up 5 o'clock, and like you mentioned, you get in. I get one tee time, and before I can get out of there, we can get another guy, under another name. Somebody's in there blocking that one or messing around in this one. So you end up, you might get one here, you got a gap. It just doesn't work. We fight it day in and day out, year round. So we want to know what your definition of leagues or groups are. We provided you with what we've got for our group. And so we just want an equal opportunity to get these tee times. We're long-term members or golfers. I've been playing the city courses since 1973, and in the Big Dog group since 1988. We've run different people in and out, but here we do it all the time. Every week, year round. You let us on the course today.
How many members do you kind of average?
Well, you say, I can usually fill 3 tee times, particularly in the summers, Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. Sometimes a little less than that. We get 3 tee times in the winter time, but like with the weather and the frost delays, this, that, and the other, only 2 tee times.
Okay.
We do try to cancel tee times as soon as we know that we don't have enough to fill that third one.
They have to notify me by Sunday afternoon if they're planning on playing Tuesday or Thursday, or no later than Tuesday night if they're going to play Thursday, so that I can cancel any unused tee times. And occasionally we like to roll in some of the area courses, Crazy Horse, Sand Creek, or whatever. So we might make a tee time, but occasionally we'll cancel them a week in advance, so there'll be the general public can get in. But I like to play all the courses we can in this area. And so.
First, Ron, thanks for coming and speaking out, because this is the kind of thing we need to know. I mean, you sound a lot more like a league to me than a lot of the other groups we're talking about who have reserved tee times to be put on. So I do have 2 questions. So I don't think I ever really heard quite an answer. So if you're getting 3 tee times, is it between 12 and 15 of you guys, somewhere in there, that make up your entire group? When you send out an email to everybody, how many people?
Today, it was cold day, but we had 9 players. We had.
Right, but my question is, how many total are in your group? When you send out an email or something?
Everybody played, how many would it be?
40.
We have what we call an active roster of 20 to 25 people. We roll them in and out, but on any, and that's only 20 or 25 because some of those people only play tournaments or only play on weekends. But for our weekly guys, we've got a pool of basically 15, 18 guys that fill the 3 tee times. And those guys are avid golfers and they show up all the time.
If I call you up and want to join your group, can I?
The way we do it, we've been around for a long time. You need to be referred by a member of the group. So if you, we've been playing and we can only get tee time for what we've got. So if we want to try to add somebody, or some of us age out and pass on and this, that, and the other, so we roll other players in. But we do it through a referral. Somebody in the group has to be aware of you and refers to the group, and we ask that they be willing to play. We have a bunch of side games. We do closest to the pins, eggs, chippies, sandies. If you're not willing to play those games and chip in for side pots, then you're not going to fit in our group. So that's how we do it.
So you can't play. It's just whether you're comfortable playing like that. So, like I brought somebody in this year or into last year, and he's been playing with us ever since. So, I'd like him to get in and play a few times and feel comfortable, and really everybody has been. So,
we all enjoy each other's company and everything. So, yeah, we need to get people and personalities that kind of fit with us. We're interested in the same kind of games that we like to play on a golf course.
Assuming that you have 2 tee times and you have 12 players show up, what do you do?
I try to get 3 every time. And if that's all I can get, then it's first 12 signed up, play. First 15,
And, or
allow 5.
And that brings up another point that I didn't mention in the beginning of this, is we have a couple of groups that make 3 tee times, show up with 25 people, and it's mad that we can't get them out. Or they make 5 tee times and show up with 8 people, and now we just lost tee times. So that's another thing that we need to make sure we work into this. And I appreciate what you guys say, Morgan, and that. I can't tell you from a golf course operator standpoint how much that helps. So thank you for being organized.
and I know that I've watched the videos the last 2 times. I wouldn't have been able to make it, but a lot of the conversation is about cancellation. And someone or a bunch of people said, oh, it should be okay to cancel within a couple hours. It's for us. And then I think you mentioned that maybe the new software is going to alert everybody or something like that. But it's really hard for us to recover that fast when we've got that many people hanging. So if we typically get 3, so we're talking 15 people max. We may only come with 12, which still is better if we have 3 tee times. But if we're looking for that other tee time, it almost needs to fit with the other 2 that we have. So it makes it a little difficult for us. But we've maxed it out. We've said, hey, only 12 people can play, and that's all it's going to play. And whoever gets in first gets in. So.
Or on the times and days where I can only get 2. I send out my email. I've got these 2 tee times. First 10 guys sign up. That's all I could get.
But I think you were mentioning maybe the new software or something. We're going to be able to schedule multiple tee times at one time, or 2 tee times, or you say 2 or more.
Yeah, well, we're going through different software companies right now, and some of the different software companies allow more than 1, some do not. So, and you hear this a lot when you're doing this, when you bring up that's something we would like, they tell you, we can put that in development. 2 years from now before they actually get it figured out. So, but yeah, that's the.
When this software first came online, you could make multiple tee times.
Right, yeah, they've,
Now they limit it to only 1.
Yeah.
So I have to sign in under 3 different names, and that makes it even harder.
Are there very many leagues that play multiple courses? Does that make it harder? Does that complicate things?
not really. I mean, I guess in a sense that the golf pros don't really, maybe not have that direct relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
like the ladies at Sim can just call. And so there's a little bit of disconnect there possibly, but I mean, not really. It's just trying to figure out how to get them on the TV, but also accommodate the other 8 billion people that are trying to get on the TV.
But there would be a way of knowing, okay, the first, I don't know how you guys do it. If the Tuesday, do you play a different course than Thursday? Do you play a different course than Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to play a different course, you know, because
I mean, I'm just wondering, I'm sure that
What I
logistically.
usually end up doing for the Tuesday and Thursday, I just rotate. I go Sim Park Tuesday, Mac Park Thursday, Texas Solver the following Tuesday, Auburn following Thursday.
Gotcha.
Saturday guys rotate on their own schedule, but I rotate the 4 city courses one after another on the Tuesday and Thursday.
but it wouldn't hurt our feelings to be told, you know, would you play this course and then Thursday play this course and then rotate it for us. We don't care. We don't really care. We just like a little variety.
Right.
Yeah. Sure. And when we can't get something in town, obviously we go anywhere from Wellington to Winfield, just like any other golfer, right? All the way to Sand Creek to Hutchinson. A 5-day tournament down in Guthrie in May, and we do a tournament up in Crazy Horse at Hutchinson, a couple-day tournament up there. And, you know, we do a fair amount of golf. It's not coming.
Great. Yeah.
And the majority of us are members. If not, there's a few that aren't, so they use the golf pass book and that's.
Any other questions for these gentlemen?
Thank you.
And to kind of speak on everything you said, I mean, if we have a league that's organized, they're open to allowing new folks into play. They have a structure. I'm all for it. Leagues are great, but we also have, I say, groups that play 6 days a week, call themselves a league. It's the same 9 people. That's not.
Soon you've got 20 first tee times of the day.
Yeah, year round. Yep, the same 100 people every morning tee time for the entire year.
And maybe the leagues are not always prime time. I mean, prime time in the summertime is, 7 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, and maybe it's 9:30, 10 o'clock instead, or vice versa in the winter, so.
And I've brought up, one of the big complaints I get is I never get the prime tee time. And I shouldn't be forced to have to play with people I don't know in order to get that. So, if you want to join a league and I don't want to join a league, I want to play with my friends, and that's, well, 100%, I agree with that. So it's just, how do we keep that fair where everyone has an opportunity to play the times? And the groups that like these gentlemen that are organized, make sure they're accommodated as well.
I totally agree. When I was just talking amongst the women that I interact with regularly, I was asking more about the fee thing that we're going to discuss and how they felt about that. I can't tell you how many of them brought up when I would talk about the weekend restriction. They're like, well, hell, I can't ever get a tee time on the weekends anyway. No matter if I stay up till 4:59 and place my call then, I can't get a tee time and I mean, it was very strong. Don't tell me those aren't reserved ahead of time.
Every day, all day, that's what I.
Absolutely. They are 100% convinced that there's an inside deal here.
Yep.
And that everybody's getting those tee times way ahead of time. And so why should I even bother? It's certainly not a goodwill factor for us. Let's put it that way.
I do think there should be some kind of way. I mean, unlike you, I get up at 5 o'clock or 4:45 every Saturday, every Sunday, get online, and I'm waiting for it to hit 5 o'clock, and then I hit the button and
Exactly.
deal pops up and says that one's already being booked. So you hit okay, and then you go to the next one. That one's already being booked. And you'll go through 2 or 3 of those before you'll actually get the tee time.
I pull up
It's just
3
like-
screens and I sit there and I dance from screen to
Yeah,
screen, trying to get.
I do it every Saturday, every Sunday too. And so, but there should be a way, if you need 3 tee times, because you're never going to get 3 tee times in a row when you're trying to book like that. They just go so fast. They're just gone.
They're gone.
I'm sorry, it is what it is. But there should be some way, and I don't know what the answer is, to accommodate groups that need, I mean, and we know several other groups that are groups of, 12, 15 people, and they always all play together. They're the same groups. They don't quite call themselves a league like you guys have a league name and all that.
And you're talking about the good faith. There needs to be, when someone comes with that complaint and they think that's what's going on, some kind of structure where I can say, this is this league, they're following this policy, here's how their tee times are booked.
Exactly.
Right now, it's so hard to be honest, half the time I agree 100% with the person that's mad coming at me, and it's hard that's a very uncomfortable situation when I'm trying to explain, I agree with you, but here's what's happening. But that structure needs to be in place where we can say they're following the policy. This is it. This is how this is happening.
Do you think that will satisfy their issue? I mean,
Well, I think right now, everybody thinks it's a buddy system where so-and-so is taking care of their buddies. And
Absolutely.
that has to go away. That's a terrible look for us. And I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen. It does. Now we've got to figure out, we got to make sure that stops and that we can show that, yeah, there is a league this week, but they're following the rules. It's not just because they're buddies with so-and-so.
I have a very biased point of view because ladies leagues, for whatever reason, the culture is just different. we do organize, we do pay club dues, we do have bylaws, we have elected officers, we have little prizes at the end of the year, we have all that stuff. We're a very organized structure. You are either a member or you're not. All members are welcome. And I guess I just don't understand why everybody didn't do that. But if they don't, then at what point, which of those criteria are we willing to say, okay, well, that one's not necessary to be a league? I mean, I don't really know quite that answer either, because we do all that stuff. So I don't get why everybody didn't do all that stuff. These guys do more of it than most of the men's leagues I'm hearing about.
Right.
I mean,
One other point I'd like to make is I'm a member of like 3 different groups. I'm part of the Sims men's group, I'm part of this group, and I'm part of the Tech's men's group as well. So we've got a set tee time on Saturday and Sunday at 9:30. Then we've got 10:30 during the week. Then we play Auburn on Monday, McDonald's Tuesday, Sims Wednesday and Friday, and then Tech's on Thursday.
which group is this?
And it's the Sims men's group. And they've got that tee time at 10:30 year round. And they will have anywhere from probably 10 to 25 players. But every now and then we have a problem with, getting all the guys, that show up to come out and, and be able to play. But, for the most part, I know the Sims group has been doing this for years, and they've got the 10:30 tee time, which really doesn't affect too many people because most people don't like to play that late in the day, and most of these guys are retired anyway.
One thing to consider, you look at 2018, 28,000 rounds, now we're doing 50,000 plus at a golf course. So the demand is just insane. So yeah, it was a lot easier when you had open tee times throughout the day, because if we blocked these 2, there's probably 2 right after it that were open, and now that's just not the case. Yeah, so I've had a lot of people say we never had this problem until the last 2 years. Well, I mean, yeah, that's there's a lot of new problems in golf, which is again, it's a good thing because it's so popular, but it's hard to navigate.
In terms of what Leo's saying, it's correct, except they play it Tech's on Tuesday, Mac on Thursday. That's the point. Having been one of those guys that gets in the middle of that little mess, but I think in this case, the biggest problem is underbooking probably. And because they have all the requirements of every league, just like the ladies leagues, everybody else, they've got elected people that are the officials. They charge some dues every year and they host tournaments. They do a lot of things. And they're like the bad dogs. They play eggs and greenies and everything like that too. So, I mean, everybody that plays in groups tends to do that. That's just kind of the nature of the game itself. But it seems like with the software that we have, if you overbook a tee time and you can give it back, you're better than you are if you underbook and come in with 25 players and you got 3 tee times, because that causes stress on everybody. And being a member of that group, I've been around for some unpopular things that happen. And believe me, the guys in the staffing positions have tried lots of things to placate and get it done right. But it gets down to the point where you got A, B, and C teeing off, but they got D there, but there's somebody that's already in that D slot. So, I mean, why are they forced to capitulate to another group? So it becomes a deal as to, if you get 3 tee times, limiting the number of players, just like they do. You get 15 players, if you get 4 tee times, then you got to come up with some kind of a rationale that says, it looks like Wednesday, we're only going to have 11 or 12 players. We got to give one back, but you have to know that prior to 30 minutes before you go play, which is the way they try to do things. And I've had more than one conversation regarding these things where, and I agree that whomever the officer is of a particular organization, it becomes cumbersome to try to fill those slots and then cut it off. And I think that's where, unfortunately, that's where we're gonna head. Now, it's just an opinion of mine, but it seems to be the nutshell of what the problem is.
I mean, in my opinion on that, in the agreement that you sign at the first of the year, you have kind of a first time's a warning, second, there's some kind of disc where if you do that multiple times, your league is not allowed to play. I mean, you can't continue every week to just show up and to disobey the rules and say, well, I don't know what you want me to do. I mean, we just want you to get organized. That's all. It's not fair when a green fee player, four players, they pay $220 to play. They do everything correctly, and now they've got to wait 30 minutes because they showed up with 15 more people. And I understand it happens. It's not easy, but it's not fair to everyone else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that should be on whoever is running that league. I know how we do it with our men's club is sign up in Golf Genius. Thursday, we give the list to Michael. He puts it into the T sheet. If somebody shows up Saturday and they're not on the list, I send them home. I just said, sorry, you're not on the list.
yeah, I mean,
See you next week.
check with the course and say,
I mean,
hey, we had one show up.
Nobody likes to do that, but
Yeah,
you have to have some respect for the T sheet.
yeah,
And I think the league person is responsible for that. I mean,
right.
they should monitor that, not, our people behind the desk.
Fully understand as a staff, things are gonna, that's a lot to do with it. Things are gonna happen. So if that happens every once in a while, the staff will bend over backwards to try to accommodate that. But if it's every time you show up, that's on the league, that's on the.
Yeah, I think they need to be accountable for.
Right.
I think part of that, you gotta look at seasonal stuff too. I mean, it's obvious that in a regular golf season, it creates more of a problem, but when you're in a frost delay type winter situation and you got people trying to play and your policy is whoever's on the t-shirt seat first gets to go first. Doesn't make any difference when the frost is delay is lifted. I mean, so basically you're pushing everybody around anyway in those situations.
Well, I think this discussion is primary talking about the off season from May to the end of October.
You know?
Yeah.
So if in the agreement that we're gonna ask them to, I'm sorry, was I interrupting somebody?
No, I said May, I meant March. Go ahead. Sorry.
If in the agreement we were asking them to sign at the beginning of the season, we said things like they have to comply with the tee times identified by the club and they can have 5 sims as a max. And we said they have to cancel tee times. I threw out 48 hours, but I don't know if that's reasonable. We can toss that around in advance. And that they must submit a roster to the club that has a minimum of, I put 10 out of the blue. And then they must have open membership with a point person posted online that can be approached for joining. If we put all those things in and then come up with failure to comply means your held tee times will go away. You get warned once and then they go away, or whatever we want to word that. I think that would help, with some of the, I mean, does that scare anybody who's on these leagues that are so wishy-washy? Does that scare anybody
I
that?
think if that does scare someone, that tells us what we need to know.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And I could draw that up before the next meeting and then we can go through it line by line and tweak it. And then, and vote to put it in play. I would like to get that sheet that this gentleman brought. I'd like to get that back. I liked what he had there. I appreciate you bringing that.
Some of my discussions, as I was going through what we had talked about last month, there's about having folks hit their rosters within by 6:30 the day before, or 30 p.m. is whatever it was. And they said, well, what happens when there was an emergency? What if we know that it was an emergency that came up that we're willing to pay the extra amount for that person that's missing? So they wanted me to bring that up.
So
And if
you
an emergency,
reserved 2 tee times and now somebody had a family emergency that can't make it?
Right.
well, there again, I think that's where your first time, second time, third offense happens. Like there's going to be a little lead, but things are going to happen.
Right. That's what they were concerned with, nothing that's gonna be absolute. So what happens when those conditions happen? Then we get bumped.
maybe two people missed, well, for 2 weeks,
Right.
2 months, I guess it is.
And I think that's, again, that's where that, your first time is just however we draw that out, but I think the problem is if that happens 3 out of every 4 times you show up to a golf course.
But is there a possibility of buying your way out of it? Paying for the missing person?
First thing I think about is I'm a member. It doesn't cost me anything to play golf,
Right.
except monthly. So if I'm the person that cancels on emergency and I call Ron or text him and say, hey, I can't make it. What would he pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question. then. What would you
There's no
pay?
money involved. If I ride, there's $15, of course,
Right.
but so.
My opinion, probably a $200 cancellation fee.
How to get everybody's attention.
No, yeah, it's the 4th time your grandma's died this month. Yeah, I think just having that built in where you don't go from the first time this happens, you're disband, whatever, but having a step. So if it's 1 time, 2nd time, maybe 3rd time, there's some disciplinary action. And things are gonna happen and typically we could have that conversation. Everything's not black and white. Golf is the most non-black and white sport. Everything falls in that gray area, it seems like. And no matter how you look at it, there's always some reason why it don't quite work with the rules or some exception. So I think that would just be part of it. If an emergency happens, it happens.
My only thoughts on this are, I worry, which, I mean, it brings back to the initial problem of not enough tee times. Even if we put all these requirements on, I think we need to emphasize the minimum, maximum amount of tee times and amount of times per week.
Yep.
Because my worry is we're getting farther away from public golf and member, non-member being able to truly book a tee time.
Totally agree. And I do like what he brought up about maybe the prime times every morning is they're open for public play and then leagues start after a certain period.
I'm all for leagues and groups getting together to play. I love that, but you get 3, 4, 5 leagues that play 3, 4, 5 times a week. Your number of open tee time slots is going down.
You essentially have 120 people that play your golf course over and over, and that's it. Hard to get on. So start that discussion. What does that look like? I'm sorry. How many,
I feel like minimum, maximum amount of tee times can be kind of golf course dependent, league dependent. But getting over that 2 times per week, that's 3 times per week, that's pushing the envelope on. Because I like to look at it as let's go back to that May to end of October. You've got a set amount of tee times. You get 20 leagues. That calendar is.
go look at the calendar on Michael's desk. He's working on the leagues and it's crazy.
Finding that balance of giving leagues fair opportunity, but still the public. I don't know if it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week. What's your guys?
Maybe so many times at a certain course. We have some leagues that are only going to play 1 course. And then like these gentlemen, they bounce around, but they're only taking a small chunk at Mac and then a small chunk at Texas. So do we do it that way? Briefly gets.
I think the sim group is the same way. They bounce around from course to course to course. So, yeah, they may play 4 times a week.
Right. How many days do they?
5.
5 days a week.
They put up, Leo said they play Monday at Auburn, Tuesday at Pawnee or Tex, Wednesday at Sims, and Thursdays at Mac, and Fridays at Sims.
Do they always get their bookings ahead of time, ahead of the 7-day window? Or is it?
I have never looked at, so I couldn't answer that. I show up to play. I'm one of the
That's
people
gotta be
that create the problem.
Got to already be booked, 30 every day, tee sheet going 5 tee times. Yeah. Right.
What do we think? I mean, you think that we can only play twice at one course per week, or, I mean,
it's not even the play, it's I'm more so the set tee times. Setting a certain amount of times.
You could, you could certainly have, yeah.
Because if they want to go in at 5 in the morning and play,
That's what I was gonna say.
by all means.
They can only have 2 days a week when times are held for them.
that's what I'm, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, of course, if they book a tee time, they're.
look, whatever they want, but.
But a set league that's
2 days a week.
on the schedule, pre-booked.
That sounds fair. Weekends.
Got a
I
question.
have a question. If it's 2 days a week, like I have a league that plays 3 times a week, but essentially they play twice in the same day, morning and afternoon. Is that 2 or 3?
The ladies league.
I can't play every day, let alone twice a day.
5 days a week and you guys play twice a day?
Mark, that's a ladies league too.
So there's 1 day a week that they do have a morning group that is reserved and held for them, and then an afternoon. And then they have another day of the week that it's just a morning.
Who are all 18 holes?
No. So one of those days is a morning 9-hole and an afternoon 9-hole.
Okay.
Big deal.
It really still kind of messes.
Now, some of them can, in the morning, some of them continue to play on to 18, but it's probably half of them.
2 days.
2 days a week, yes.
Hypothetically, the 9-hole morning could play with the 18-hole that plays the day before. You're talking about the women's, right?
Yes, sir.
So Monday is 18-hole, Tuesday is 9-hole morning?
No, Thursday.
Thursday. I know Thursday evening is 9-hole.
And Thursday morning is 9-hole.
Thursday.
What was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, my question was, what about the weekends? Are we talking about, just the Monday through Fridays and limited times a week, or what about on the weekends? Are we gonna allow, leagues to be playing on the weekends and having standard tee times?
Because then even if we get all these requirements all set and you say, pick your 2, all of a sudden your Saturday goes poof.
Yeah. Saturday it'd be what I would consider time for this. Majority of the folks that were working wanting to play on a Saturday morning, and if it's all booked, then they would be.
Yeah, I would say maybe limited to one of the weekend days instead of some of the leagues play both Saturday and Sunday. Maybe only one of the weekend days instead of, well, I don't know.
Number of Saturdays per month. Someone else has a chance to get on a day that they're off work. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a self-perpetuating issue here. If you want to attract younger golfers and they can't ever get in on weekends.
Yeah.
Or do you just limit the leagues to the weekdays and open up the weekends and say you only can, and if you want to have your league on the weekend or whatever, you've got to go through that same process. I guess everybody else has to.
Sweet spot.
You would never get blocks of tee times doing that.
Right. But if, I was just saying, if you trying to open up those tee times for the weekend for those people, then just, you wouldn't be able to get blocks. You would have to just take what you get.
Is the weekend primetime Saturday morning time an issue with leagues anywhere other than Auburn? Is there a men's
Smaller
league?
groups, that's the largest group that plays on the weekend, but there are smaller groups. Tex has
Texas has a Saturday morning group?
Saturday and Sunday, I believe.
They have a big group, but they're really slow. Lived up.
Yeah, I at the very least, just to kind of ease into it, I don't think any league ought to be able to say we're taking Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, given.
I can't tell, this is the first place I've ever been where I've seen that wasn't a private course. Saturday mornings. That's,
Years ago, I didn't think they were allowed to have leagues on weekends like that. I mean, it was kind of news to me that that was happening. I know at Auburn, they've done it ever since the course was open.
And think about it, when the course opened, they were thrilled to have anybody filling the tee sheet. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's changed so much because leagues were attractive. 10 years ago, even, they were very attractive because you just wanted to fill up your tee sheet. And now it's so different that,
No one fill up our tee sheets. I mean,
but we
I
will.
don't think that's changed.
That hasn't changed, but the difference is how we go about it. If you're filling your tee sheets up with members who are paying $70 a month instead of green fees.
or with the same 100 members when 1,500 other members can get those times. That's
We
the,
go take up bridge.
I mean, from a complaint standpoint, that's number one. Number two, complaint is not even close. It's trying to get weekend morning tee times.
So how bad would it be to say you can't do Saturdays and Sundays and that leagues can't start till 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that?
10:30, 11.
Going.
I mean, you are talking about prime time again. Leave the prime time open to any golfer that can get a tee time. And then do leagues after prime time. Or before prime time.
Do leagues after 12 on weekends, but not before.
It'd have to be tee times, which I know
Yeah.
some of the mornings they do it reverse shotgun.
Yeah,
That would be impossible to do in the afternoon.
We could do it that way with our league. But again, that's part of the benefit too, is you're getting everybody on the golf course at one time going, so it's,
You guys do a shotgun. You do a shotgun.
yeah, we just,
They do reverse, yeah.
we're shotgun to where,
Yeah.
all 40 guys can go out and get started at the same time and go. But
You come in, have
what
your-
it does is it creates more of a social atmosphere afterwards, so everybody gets done at about the same time too, so everybody stays and sticks around.
Sure.
It just creates that social
Yeah.
thing that we're looking for in the league.
Without a doubt. Yeah, and I mean, saying going clear till noon, I don't want to just tick off all the people who are taking our, I mean, I think there's a benefit to leagues still, because the fact is, I think sometimes league players show up, at least for women. Again, I'm speaking only from my knowledge, but we show up and play sometimes when the public won't because of the weather. Or, because we do that. It's our ladies' day. And so we feel like it's a social thing. We're obligated. We're a member of that group that's going to go play.
Yeah,
Where if I'm just, if it's 45 degrees and I don't feel like playing, I just don't go.
right,
If I'm not playing a league day that day.
yeah. The social aspect of it kind of brings you out as well.
So I will lose that.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Refine line to it, because don't get me wrong, I love that. I love that Saturday morning tea time in Auburn, but
Yeah.
I can see the flip side too, when it's,
Tough one.
Maybe it'd been too much if they moved it after prime time. They wouldn't do it because they couldn't shotgun start. Are you still? Well, so last year we started at 7:30. We don't start first out and get out of the way so that the general public
So even.
start a little quicker and come right after us. Right. So that's really before prime time.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah, it's early. I mean, they gotta get
It's
up
a
at
good call.
6 and check in with us by 6:30.
Right, I mean, it's like
Probably some people
the
don't. want to play
public,
quite
if
that
they had
late.
their druthers, when they want to come in like between 8 and 10.
8, 11. Right. Well, especially like as you get warmer, people are always seeking the earlier, right? So during the peak golf season, yeah, that 8 to 11.
Sure.
Yeah, Mark said you guys have to.
And I get the shotgun part of it. That's part of why we go, is because it's the social thing. And if you're finishing, an hour and a half after the first group, it's that piece of it.
Something like that.
I was talking about men's league specifically. Bi-weekly. Yeah, that's what I meant.
No,
We're still debating the time thing about whether or not we could say leagues leagues can't be played on weekend days, maybe they can't start between 8 and 11. And then we were discussing the benefits of the shotgun start that I totally get, that y'all want to finish at the same time and go have lunch and a beer. I mean, that's part of why we do what we do. So
Some of those times are probably before prime time because you get up as soon as the sun comes up, boom, you go. So we're trying to get in and get out of the way before, and then let the general public come in right after us.
Now, the prime time is 10 minutes before daylight. That's what, I'm serious, that's what everybody wants. That's what they want. Yeah, they want to be able to get done so they can go home, family, and do whatever they've got to do. So.
Yep.
Yeah, if we move the times back, and you still wanted to do a shotgun. I'm doing this in my head. We could, depending on how late. No, you'd have to make the turn. It would have to be real late in the day for that to work. Because you could block the time, back everybody up in that gap, but they would have to come around and finish. And if there's still tee times going off, that's over. It would have to be late in the day, which is, I did that at a course. We had a men's league that was bigger than yours, and we did it on Sunday afternoons. We had it where they finished just before dark, but we'd do a shotgun and they would go out and it worked. But I know that's not what your guys were gonna wanna do.
He did a full shotgun to regular public that just at Auburn on weekends.
What do we?
Anyone that signed up,
You're Saturday.
Starting hole.
you don't do Saturday and Sunday, do you?
No, we're just Saturday. I actually thought it would be better this year because this year they're not blocking out the country club guys, some of those other blocks that were in there last year. I just figured it would be a little bit more open this year anyway.
Shotgun.
As they used to do.
Yeah, it's tough.
There's never a perfect answer.
How about this? I'll draw up kind of some guidelines on what a league is, some basic things. Think about this weekend, the weekend thing. We tweak that as we go, and we can add that next weekend. But
Yeah, I mean, I like the direction we're heading, that they have to be somewhat organized. You know, the thing I keep reminding myself is that the bad guys are probably still going to try to do
That's
what
what
unless
Typically takes about.
they're going to do loopholes and they may still do it, but
I mean, the first tee is open at
that's okay. I mean, we'll live with that if they. And especially if we limit the
It's
number
like
of
the
days
7th
and the
and
number of
9th.
times they can have per day to some extent, somehow. I don't know.
not horrible though.
And unfortunately for you and the pros, there's always going to be people complaining about not getting it.
oh yeah. I mean, we could have no leagues. I would still have plenty of people saying they can't get a tee time. That's just the world we're in with golf right now. And I do want to go on record, whatever, with this saying that I see the value and I appreciate leagues, the loyalty, like they're extremely important. It's just got to be done fairly. I'm not out to get rid of leagues by any means. I promise you, if I didn't work at a course and I had freedom, I would, that'd be the best thing of my week is be playing in the league. I would love it. Like I dream about the day I get to retire and actually.
It gives you a certain time and a date, that'd be easy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got a shot at 7.
Setting the roofs out.
I got it. Okay, so I'll draw that up if we're good on that topic, and then kind of a couple options, we can narrow it down and get it in place.
I'm gonna, everybody shoot me now, but I'm gonna bring this up. Sounds to me like we got a supply issue. We got more demand than we have a supply. Years ago, we had a little bit larger supply, so you know where I'm going with.
I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that will not be entertained above this room, if you're talking about clap. I would love it. I would give anything in the world to have another golf course, but there's no chance that's gonna.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy for we ought to demand that can't get on the courses and yet we're stifling. Sorry, that's just ridiculous.
Before we got here. This room's gonna
Yeah.
change.
I never saw that golf course. I hear about it every day. I wish.
And it's still in existence, you know, that's what it is.
I don't know.
Can't we?
They're doing the playground. I don't know if that's on the course or I have no idea what that looks like. I don't ever go down there.
I think
But
it is back there, they're doing that
Yeah.
pavilion.
even if it's,
Yeah, the problem is they closed Echo Hills, Rayburn, and Clap. So now you close 3 out of the 7 courses that the public could play.
Yes.
Now it's just 4 courses. It's like,
yeah.
Does your software put out data as far as unbooked tee times? I know we talk about it, maybe we booked and all that, but how many are not booked?
I could,
I'm sorry, that's one
no,
question.
you're right. I could get the new software we're trying to go to. I would be able to do that like this. It's not.
And the other question is, I don't know how many years ago it was, and I know comments were made, well, I don't really think I want to play with somebody else. But when a single come up, they try to put them with somebody, which leaves that tee time open. If you're looking a single, which we've had singles in front of us, there's a whole tee time, and then there's two in front of them, and there's two in front of them, and,
Yeah, and so there's a couple of challenges there. Like say at Auburn, for instance, you have 4 people that are on a tee time together at 12:10. They get to the first tee, they don't know each other. It's across the street. If we don't have a starter in place, we have no clue that happened. So that's why we're continuously trying to build that starter and marshal program to help with that. At the other courses, we've been, kind of talking about that as a big topic to make sure we're pairing people. And back, there's the first tee right outside.
yeah.
A lot easier there. If that happens there, that's our fault. And it does happen, and we have to get better at
It
that.
really was nice when you did have marshals there. We really appreciate them because we talk to them, we check us on the list, and off we go, and we get in the right sequence, because if there's nobody there, then we always have to be the bad guy and say, hey, what's your tee time? Hey, what's your tee time? You can't go,
Right.
So it's kind of nice. I know it's a tough job.
It's just, it's a volunteer. We don't pay for that. And
Yeah.
we're trying to get volunteers, and we're actually even limited on what we can trade as volunteers. So we'll continue to push that program and try to get more folks out there to help. There's a huge value in starters and marshals, especially starters in our courses, I feel like. Okay, I'll get that together for the next meeting, and hopefully we can come to an agreement.
Last month, we talked about that 6:30 PM day before, sitting in your sheet, but it's not on this list. Is that something we want to add?
Yeah, that was kind of in general, not just to lead, so that's why I didn't put it on here, but yeah. Very good. So,
Okay, moving on to the next nice, easy topic, member rates.
First thing I want to do, we sent out that survey, so I just want to go over kind of how the results were. And so everyone's aware of what we're looking at here. We had 518 people that responded to the survey. 2 options. Option 1 was just a increase across the board to all memberships. Option 2 was an increase to all memberships except for the senior membership with the restrictions where Saturday and Sunday were not included on the membership. Came back 312 people, and this went to all members, not just seniors. 312 people voted for option 1, which is a straight increase. 206 voted for option 2 with the restrictions. So basically 60-40 split. So just wanted to show you how that result came back up.
I got a lot of, I say a lot, several people with feedback saying they felt it was misleading the way it was worded, because they didn't know what the restrictions on weekends meant. And they didn't know if that meant I can still play on a weekend if I'm a senior, but only after 10 o'clock.
Right.
Or I couldn't play on weekends at all with my membership. They didn't know that. And so some of them said, so I just didn't vote because I didn't know what I was voting for. And some of them said I voted for the other because I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, obviously that was not the intention. We should have worded that different. And I had several people reach out to me, and we answered everyone to let them know. Yeah, and in my opinion, if everyone would have understood that was completely no play on Saturday or Sunday, this would have been even bigger margin.
I do too.
It definitely wouldn't have been a smaller margin. So, yeah, obviously that was not intentional. We should have been more clear in that, but.
I think we should send it out again.
Trevor got the job of answering the Golf Wichita email account during all this.
I didn't even get it. I didn't get the survey.
Okay. So with that being said, we're back to the sheet again. So just to kind of go over what we're looking at, the top left chart is what we currently have. The second chart down, the first one with the green box is the straight increase across the board. The next chart on the bottom is the increase with the restrictions on the weekends, or I'm sorry, we call that the exclusion of the weekend for seniors, but no increase to their fees. And then on the top right is the green fees. We have about 85,000 green fees a year. Again, if we did a $1 increase, a $2 increase, and a $3 increase, what that revenue impact of that really is. So, I'll leave this off screen. I'd rather sit down.
Right. Yeah, he said the same thing.
So the other question, just to throw it out there, that I got asked by a couple of different people was, okay, so if we go with option one, I'm a senior, then my rate stays at 70 and change, but I can't play weekends. Can I pay the $77 senior membership and play weekends?
No, we said that it was basically, it was one or the other, because if we give them the option, we're not increasing revenue at all. Our weekend green fees now go from $13 on average to $13.20 on average. You know what I mean? It's not getting what council is requiring us to come up with. So that would just mean the senior players that don't play on the weekends would stay. And then the ones that take up all the weekend times, which is about a quarter of the weekend tee times, would just play a very small amount. So this is what we said in the meeting, it's either, if we went with option two, which is the exclusion of weekends, the rate would stay the same. If they wanted to play weekends, they could bump up to the adult membership. That would be the option. That's the only way.
I guess they just don't quite understand that. If we can let them play 5 days a week for 70, or we could let them play 7 days a week for 77, then why can't I pay $7 extra even if he doesn't want to?
Because you're getting 100 people that are paying $7 extra. If we do a straight across, we're getting 850 people that say pay an extra $7.
We just might need to try to figure out a way to explain that to the public.
I can tell you the feedback I've gotten, it's kind of weird. Auburn is like its own animal. I've had more people talk about option two, just take weekends off. I don't care. Everywhere else is across the board. They just raise my dues.
I guess just the opposite.
It is. It's odd. I don't know why that is, but that's been the case, my experience. Yeah, I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna throw this out here because after I talked to you that one day and you said that someone had written, I don't know if they wrote an email or a letter or something about saying they were gonna sue the golf system if they didn't get what they wanted or whatever. And in my mind, I just thought, really, people would actually go to litigation if they didn't get what they wanted? And I tried to put myself in their shoes for a minute and kind of look at our system. And I look at our system, and our system is segregated by age. You have junior, you have young adult, you have seniors. So it's segregated by age. If you segregate it by anything else, whether it's race, religion, gender, anything else, you would have an upheaval. Why you don't have an upheaval? Because it's segregated by age? Still kind of baffles me. But what if we just simplified our whole pass system and said, we're going to take the segregation away. We're not going to segregate it by anything. You have a 5-day pass that costs X amount of dollars. You have a 7-day pass that costs X amount of dollars. Easy peasy. Next time you have to make a rate adjustment or whatever, you don't have to argue about, oh, am I hurting the seniors or am I hurting the adults or am I hurting this group or that group? There's none of that. None of that segregation. It should have never been put up that way in my mind. I don't like the segregation part, whether it's age or any of the other things. It just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. It should have never been done that way. So if you simplify it and you just say 5-day pass, 7-day pass, here's what it is. And I think it cuts out a lot of argument next time. You want to have a rate increase or whatever, You don't argue about this group, that group, or the other group. It's just the 5-day pass goes to this, the 7-day pass goes to this. It's just very simplified and take the segregation out of it.
I think the issue we run into there is what we've talked about. I wish we could have been the ones to put the first passes.
No, we didn't.
Against what's already exists, so that would
Right.
the seniors would end up paying it. And the adults would not. That's the problem with that.
Yeah,
So
knowing who I represent, I can't take that back to it.
a senior that's paid this price, and this is what they are used to now, are gonna go up to 110, where adults gonna basically stay the same.
Well, okay, let's just say the 7-day pass is $125. That's what the adult pass is gonna go to, is $125. That's basically, I think with the $3 increase, the green fee is gonna go to almost $40. I think it's $40 on the weekends. So that's 3 green fees you're paying for, and you get to play a month. For a lot of seniors, 3 green fees is a slow week. I mean, you're still getting a super value. I mean, even at 125,
I'm not disagreeing with the logic.
Right.
I'm disagreeing with the fact that we can't ignore what was the original setup. And I can't go back to the seniors that I represent and say, you're being increased by, if you want to play 5, I don't know what you're looking at for 5.
$50.
I would say 5 days, you'd keep right at 70 or $75, make the other one 125. And it just is what it, I mean, it's still a value that is
Buy
unbelievable.
a 5-day pass is what you're saying.
Yeah, anybody.
I think there'd be a whole lot of them that do that.
I mean, I know we didn't set up this segregation. No, it was not anything we did. But it's not right. I mean, in my mind, let me rephrase, in my mind, it's not right. I wouldn't segregate it by gender. I wouldn't segregate it by race or religion or anything else either. I mean, I just don't.
You're giving seniors a break because they are aged out and they are on a fixed income.
You're gonna have a lot of
So
seniors drop out.
why are they entitled to play for less than their neighbor? The guy across the street.
Are still earning income. And they are not.
Maybe they're not. You don't know that. I mean,
Most seniors are not. But how many seniors do
you
you know?
don't know everybody's situation.
No, not everybody.
I mean,
Right. But I think
there should not be a self-entitlement because I'm X age, I should get to play for less. I mean, I'm a senior too, okay?
So,
I'm not trying to knock seniors.
Yeah.
I'm a senior too. But I don't have a self-entitlement that I think I should get to play for any less than the guy across the street or the guy down the road or anybody else. I think we should all pay the same. I think it should be a fair and equal system.
I get a senior discount at every hotel I go to, at every bowling alley I go to,
That's right.
at every car I rent. We're not alone in this structure.
Do
in
you
this
get a
philosophy.
48% discount at those places?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not
Senior
saying-
discount at Taco Bell.
I'm not saying the amounts were right in the first place, the amounts, but the philosophy is not unique to us.
No, I understand. There are places that do give senior.
There's a lot of places that do it.
I'm just saying that with this being,
Can we hear, do you guys have,
yeah, go ahead.
if someone wants to come on,
You know, I've
I've been dying for someone to
Yeah,
come in and talk.
been a member for quite a while and I played golf before. I was a member at Wichita Golf Course. I've been, here 30 years. And I paid that adult for a long time and I always looked up there and said, hey, I'm getting close, I'm getting close. And then I get to that senior. And yeah, I played a little bit more because I don't work. But I played less when I didn't. I played on the Beach League or the Raytheon League and the Textron League, and that was all situated. But I do think there should be a discount. I don't know what it is. I mean, that is a nice price every time. Every time I get an email that says it's gonna go up, I kind of, and I say, hey, I'm still getting a good deal. So I don't care that it goes up. I'm option 1 all the way. If there was an option to have 5 days versus 7, I appreciate that because these guys play during the week. Sometimes I play on the weekend with the other third group that we have. So, I think there should be a little difference. I don't know what it is. I appreciate it that it's there.
On the aspect of structures, why it happened, I don't know, but the industry itself does the discrimination, unfortunately. Most places that you go, all your country clubs got about 6, 7, 8 different structural rates, and other public entities do the same thing. So now why it created that in the industry, I have no idea, but we're not off of industry standards by what we do. So now the increment there for a senior may be a little off. I agree with that. But that's where it got established. I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, whenever they done that. They changed that then, and like I said, but that's just happens to be where we're at now. So now in terms of the second one that Randy proposed there, the increase is subject to variation there depending on what happens when you do that. So it could be 73,000, it could be 100,000. I can't answer that. I don't think anybody can unless you did it.
No, it's not quantifiable. I agree with that. But I've sat in these meetings for every month, and every month I come in here and I hear people say, oh, we can't gouge the seniors because they, they only pay this much or whatever. I have never heard anybody say, well, we can't gouge the adults because they're already paying 46% or 48% more than the seniors. Nobody ever worries about the adults. Everybody's just worried about the seniors. And it just baffles me that, shouldn't there be some equity in there, some equality? Like I said, I'm a senior too, okay? I'm old, I know it. But I still have the thought process that everybody should be treated fairly and equally. That's just my 2 cents.
For that, on that point, several years ago, the first time that we adjusted rates, I was a proponent of, I guess, gouging, because I suggested and pushed higher rates than some people wanted, but we passed it and we came back a month later and reneged on it. So I do not wish to do that again. So in that purpose right there, I suggest that the board select one of these and go with it. We do need to have the money because of the city mandate. And as Jesse expressed, we're looking at needing $400,000 to start getting banked for the purposes of paying off what will be our debt service on the bonds. So I don't think Jesse wants to send this back for another month's worth of discussion, because this needs to get out to what we do to be advertised so that people aren't caught unawares of 1st of March.
I would definitely like to give as much notice as possible. So,
Can I bring something up? Sorry. What about the, and I know we're talking a lot about adult and senior, what about the discount for the young adult? Has that ever been discussed or brought up, or?
We discussed it, yeah.
What's that age again?
32. 18 to 32.
18 to, young adult is 18 to 32. Wow.
34. Which I'm guessing when they set this up, they looked at the country club. And that's because that's typical country club standard, because they're talking about huge initiation fees. And typically, once you get to 33, you have to pay the rest of your initiation fee. There's a lot more to it. And I'm guessing when I first got here and was looking at this, my thought was they use that as a guide for some.
So early 30s is, I'm just an adult. It's not, I would consider it young.
Have you met these 30-year-olds? No offense, Trevor.
At the same time, I know because I worked at private clubs, and that is a very similar structure. And their theory was that young people getting into the workplace, same deal. They don't have as much money, and the same thing. The seniors, well, they're on fixed income, so we don't have as much money. So that's the theory why the young adult thing is ever there, and in the fact that those young adults are going to, age into the higher pay structure.
There's no question, when this was set up, it was again, when we were hoping golf could exist.
I could see 18
to
is.
survive. And so we were trying to figure out, we need to hook young adults. We need to get them here and we need to get them involved and we need to get them to love golf. And then we need to take care of the seniors who have a limited income so that they'll continue to play because we weren't filling up our tee sheets. And so that's why I'm sure the discussion of the people who came before us and set this all up, yes, they probably used a country club for a model. And I'm sure that was the rationale behind it. I don't disagree that we still need to hook young adults. I don't know if we need to hook them clear up to 34, but we need to.
Yeah,
I think the golf industry.
What's the cost under 18?
We have a program that we partner with, it's called Golf Marathon. So anyone under 18 plays for free.
Okay.
We charge that group who does private fundraising and they pay.
Okay.
So it's a great program. Yep.
Yeah, I look at it, I kind of agree with everybody else and I even think the couples is way off too. So, I mean, that's a hell of a deal for 125 for one person and another $20 for the other person.
That's right.
Okay.
Did you guys talk about the possibility of doing the after 12 on the senior one on weekends to open? That would also help fix the problem of the weekend morning leagues. If they couldn't play till after 12, unless they wanted a higher rate membership, that would be like it used to be called a 5-day pass, but it was good 7 days just on the weekends. If you had the cheaper senior rate, you had to play after 12.
So if you were around during that time, I think you were, right?
Yes.
What were the issues that you ran into with that?
There really weren't
No.
any issues, because the only way people knew it was that they could only play after 12 with the discount. And that would also make it to where if someone wanted to play weekend mornings with a senior, we could have like you said before, we could have a 1 for 125 that is senior 7-day. And then we could have a senior 5-day for 77 plus, but they could only play on after 12 on the weekends. But that would open up a lot of those tee times on the weekend mornings most of the people that have the adult passes are people that work during the week and they play on the weekends. So they would have a lot more tee times available to them.
I can tell you a phone call. I'm not saying this is something to go by. I got a phone call. Someone thought that we were about to do that. I got a phone call from a guy. He said, I'm 80 years old and you're telling me I can't play until it's 107 degrees outside.
But we could give them the option of paying 125 and having a 7-day senior pass.
And still not being able to get a tee time. Just saying that.
Right.
So that would kind of help solve the other issue of the weekend morning league. And bring more revenue in without increasing prices.
I don't remember on the survey, did we put dollar amounts?
I'll put it.
On the survey that we sent out, were there dollar?
Just the cost of the membership.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we told them keep it at 70 or go to 77.
Right.
I'm just saying, so we couldn't like sneak in 80 now.
And,
You have to take over my office for 3 weeks.
I'd be willing to bet that the guys that play in the Auburn Weekend League and the big one we have in McDonald would up it to 125 versus losing their league.
Sure.
Not quick.
Because it's not, especially at Auburn, I mean, they're already getting to play a course that's, a little more like a country club for the same price. So it's I think that they would all sign up immediately versus losing their leagues.
Yeah, but I mean, I see that's a lot of people, maybe 25 people out of, our whole gamut of members. That's not very big on a percentage scale. If you're talking about.
But a lot of the weekend morning times are seniors.
I'd rather pay a little bit more money and have a 7-day.
A lot of our weekend morning times are seniors just paying 15 to ride or paying 0. So that would increase revenue without increasing prices. And they could still do the 77 if they wanted the 7-day after 12 on the weekend.
You lost me there. So you're saying
So you
that,
could, so the old 5-day pass actually was 7. It said 5-day.
So, okay, do this. Tell us what you're recommending.
Okay, so I'm recommending that they can stay at 77 in place and have a 7-day pass and, but it's only good after 12 on weekends. Or they can pay 125 and have a 7-day anytime pass.
okay, but what we surveyed was 77 gives you free reign. I think now if we say 77, still restrictions at noon on Saturday, we're going to get a big pushback.
Right.
That's why I was wondering if we had dollar amounts on the survey.
Yeah.
Sounds like you gotta just hold your nose and vote.
But we're gonna have pushback from some side no matter what we do.
Oh, yeah, there's no perfect way.
Sure.
Uh,
But the survey did show more support for option, the top option there, or the middle.
And to be
Great.
honest, to satisfy the council's demand, it's easier for me to quantify. This is a straight increase. This is how much money it is. I can't tell them how many seniors are gonna go up to the other pass or how many tea times will open up. That's just kind of a hope. It will, there's no doubt it would, but I can't put a number on it to guess.
Can't quantify it.
Right.
Out of 500 and some folks that sent their, information in, were there any complaints about what you're doing, raising prices again?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not that,
Even after we explained about the water system?
yeah, I mean, if you go $1, there's gonna be a complaint. So there are complaints. I think the main thing is, as long as we see improvements, we see where the money's going. And that's on me and our staff to get these courses where they need to be. That irrigation is crucial. We're broken at Sim. There's not much.
I do think there's a sense out there amongst, I hope not very many people, that somehow the city passed that irrigation system that got blessed, therefore the city's going to pay for it. I mean, we need to keep educating that because they don't understand still that we have a piece of that that we have to come up with.
On the flip side, if we go to council and basically we have to ask permission to spend on golf money it's not tax money, it's golf money. People watch that and think that that's all tax money. So I get killed with people that don't play golf saying you're wasting tax money. I wish there was a way to get people to understand that.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is saying we've got a little extra money that we've built up. We want to put it into the course and somehow that looks like we're asking for tax money.
Also, you can also do that to the young adult pass so that it's not just doing it to the seniors. It's also doing it to young adults where they could be 7-day, but weekends after 12. Or they could pay 125 and have 7-day. That way you're not just excluding one age group.
From 77 to 125, it's almost $50 to include an extra 4 hours.
Those are the most expensive 4 hours in golf.
Jesse, so where did we, like a young adult, officially when you become an adult, you're 18. I mean, that's just what it is. But, and I don't want to discourage a young adult, but what if you change that young adult from 1 to 18? And I don't need to know how many young adults we have. And then after 18, you go to an adult and you have an increase in that price.
Well, we have the program, everyone under 18 plays for free on their end. We pay for it. We charge a group on the back end that pays for all the kids in the city. And
so 18 to 32 is considered a young adult.
34 said, yeah.
I like 34.
I like that too.
Oh, I thought 18 to 34.
That's an adult in my opinion, but
yeah. I mean, maybe 18 to 25, maybe the college years. I could see that, but not.
We didn't, not that I'm trying to be sneaky here by any means, but we did not survey the young adults and the couples. I mean, there is wiggle room there that if we're, to the points that have been made about the inequities of the original structure, we could even those out by raising those two. I just think once we have surveyed the senior, it's going to be hard. If we said, you like A, do you like B? Well, what we really got to do is C. I think that's a hard sell.
Now, this survey went to all members, not just seniors. But there was no difference in option 1 or 2 to anything except for the seniors.
But yeah, the only ones who had a decision to make were the seniors.
Yeah, we shouldn't have got vote from anybody other than seniors.
I have a couple. I have a couples pass, and I will say I'm kind of on Randy's side of saying different things of, hey, I think things should go up. Essentially, at $40, we have to play 3.6 times a month to get our money back, and we play all the time. So, I mean, I agree with the couples thing. I agree with that. I think that we should change the young adult age, and you're going to get some additional revenue there. And send that survey out and find out, like Marcia's saying.
What would it take to move the young adults from 34 down to 25?
I don't think you need to change the age, just,
Well, I mean, I do agree. 34 is crazy for him.
It's crazy.
I had no idea what
The
was.
change, I don't think with the changes we made last time, we can make changes now without,
just have to be done at their next renewal cycle.
after they've been in for a year. So basically, it's essentially a year and then it's month to month. So
They
anyone.
renew, yeah, their next year.
Yeah, you don't, once you go past 12 months, it's month to month. You don't renew for a year at a time. So, I mean, we could. From a revenue standpoint, how many young adults that are 23, if we go to $125, how many are we gonna lose? I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but we will lose quite a few now. Have we done what we are set out to accomplish?
How many young adults are there right now?
281.
Oh, they're
Adults.
Them and there are adults.
not 34.
Yeah, that's why I think you should leave it there and exclude the weekend mornings, just like with the other ones. So would be an idea anyway.
I think ultimately, like you said, we're gonna have to hold our nose and vote. We could do this 75 different ways and we could come up with 85 more next month, but I'm not trying to rush into this, but we're 4 months in and I want to make sure people have plenty of notice that on March 1st, I don't want to surprise anyone. So
I don't want to kick this can down the road anymore. I mean, I think we ought to vote tonight, get it done with.
Yeah, I agree. I'll make the motion that we make the price increase equivalent to the one with the $77 senior rate that still allows them 7 days of play.
For the purpose of the motion, we will say that the middle numbers are motion 1 and the last numbers are motion 2, if somebody wants to do it.
Motioning motion 1
Second that.
with no further restriction on the senior tea times.
Second that.
I'm not, to clarify, we're talking about no change to young adult or couple.
As is right now was the motion, just as it reads up there. Is that correct?
Change the senior.
True.
Well, these are the options up for motion. So these are kind of the three.
That satisfy your,
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm clear that that's what.
okay, all right. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. So I would say all in favor, say aye.
Oh, they're just proposing.
Aye.
77, yes.
All opposed? No.
No.
Motion then carries 6-1.
Jesse, what was your vote? I'm sorry.
I just don't know that we rush into it. I say no, but that's fine.
Okay, Jesse voted no also.
Then you got 3 no's.
Did I get this one?
All right, well, that motion's dead.
Somebody else better make a motion. Somebody on the no side better make a motion.
So I'm gonna make a request from the board. If we're not gonna vote on and come up with this tonight, I would like to task of each of you come with what your plan in detail would be at the next meeting. So we have an option.
Absolutely.
This is what every time we come into this meeting, I feel like we're starting over and just throwing stuff at the wall.
Was it Randy or you with the report for cost per round for membership? Is that out there somewhere?
I had that on my sheet previously. I don't know if you still have that or not, Jesse. For seniors, it was $14 and some change per round. For adults, it was 25 bucks per round. Couples and young adults were both right at 20. The only one that stuck out was the seniors, and it was at 14. And I mean, I've done the numbers on, so there's one gentleman I know that plays at Auburn all the time, plays a lot of rounds, probably plays 175, maybe 200 rounds a year. So I did the math. I said, okay, how much does this guy average every time he plays? It was like $5.12 or something like that. And so if we add it, if we go up to $77, now how much does he pay? Well, now it's going to be $5.82. It's like the cheapest golf in the world. And so then I also did the math. What if he goes to an adult pass at $125? That went up to $8 and some change. Still, to play golf, I don't think you can go to the miniature golf course and play for $8. Maybe you can, I don't know.
We're kind of a victim of the system.
You know, how did they go from 70 to 77? Why only a $7 increase? I don't think most people would have been opposed to a $12 increase.
We did a $7 increase on every category.
To get
And-
and got it to rounded numbers.
Which means it's a higher percentage increase for seniors,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we just did a $7 increase on every category, because last time we did a percentage increase.
Right.
And
Last time we did $12.
so that's right.
Yeah, we
And
were going to, and we realized that just made the
That
gap.
just made the gap bigger.
yes.
So I have no problem with easing into a better, less of a gap. It was set up incorrectly in the first place. There's no question about it. But
Here's the other thing I'll say, I don't know if this is what you meant, but easing into, I don't want to do another increase next year.
next year.
I mean, if I want to get what we need to get for a few years. This is council mandated. Let's satisfy that and not have to come back again next year and say, we're going to do another dues increase and another, you know what I mean? So,
I would certainly be open to listening to a more significant increase in either all categories or something if we hadn't surveyed it. I think we look bad if we put out a survey with some figures on it and we said, do you like A or do you like B? And then we throw them both out and we do C. I just think that's going to look really bad.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't want to do that stupid survey. Maybe we should have just rounded everything and made it $90, $125, $155, and $80
You know, I had that idea last time and I didn't say it. I'm really sorry.
numbers.
Well, for the purpose of getting on down to business here, Ted has suggested that if you can make a decision this evening and come back to the next meeting, and we will be mandated to make a decision. And if there's input, if something somebody wants to change, then present it at said time. In remembrance that we do have a number that we gotta come up to meet the obligations created by the city council. And also during the next month, if the board starts talking with each other in the process, remember you can't have more than 3 people speaking to this thing at one time, at one point. Because of state laws. Keeping that in mind, I make a motion then, or if somebody would like to make a motion to table this until the following meeting, do so.
I think you need a motion to table since the motion was
Okay, if you don't,
not voted on.
fine.
Not passed.
But I will reiterate, if you guys can bring forth some type of a plan so we can be a little more structured. I feel like we're 4 meetings in and we've had the same conversation 4 times. So
You keep saying bring another plan.
come up with.
If you want the options, if this, I mean, I'm just trying to get what you want from us, okay? Because
So all things considered, knowing we put out a survey, knowing people have seen these numbers, knowing the discussion we had, what would you like to see done? Whatever that is.
I told you what I want.
Then bring that next week. That's what I'm asking. Yep, everybody can do that plan.
I want to do away with segregation.
No art.
All right.
Moving on, new business, course planning for 2025. Everybody got a,
Okay, we'll go through this quick. Please stop me and ask questions if you can, or as you have them. So this sheet right here that's got course by course. I just want to keep you guys up to speed on what our plans are the next couple of months when we can get some of these projects done around bad weather. At Tex, at every course, we have a lot of dead tree removal. Tex is trying to do quite a bit in-house. There's some things that are out of their scope, so we're waiting on forestry to come in, and they actually have been showing up. They've been trying to do what they can. So I know they're, whatever it was, 2,500 tickets behind right now. So they're getting to the golf courses as they can. Tex again, springing Bermuda into the bad spots of the rough. Excuse me. As well as number 3 and 8 tee boxes. That's going to be May through August, but make sure that plan is in place. Finish the rock around Pond 7. Try to have that done by midsummer or about halfway through. It'll be like the one on number 9 and almost halfway through on 7. It looks fantastic. Cart path drainage. Right now, there's some cart paths that hold water, so doing what needs to be done to make sure the water drains off the cart paths. Sorry. And then fairway spiking and aerification. That'll be done April through August to really open those fairways up and let them breathe and get some new growth there. Sorry. Any questions on Tex? Any other things that you'd like to see added? Okay. Auburn Hills, again, tree work is a big issue everywhere, so continue to work on that as we can. The bunkers we want to rework all of those bunkers, get the sand depth where it should be. They don't have enough sand right now, so there's some work that needs to be done on the bunker, and then make sure the sand levels are up. Be really focused on that this winter. We are working to secure contracted aerification of the fairways. We've been working on trying to get some prices. It looks like that's going to be about $12,000 to contract that out. And
question.
okay.
If you're gonna work on securing and the other courses doing their aerifying, what's the difference between them?
We need to pull big cores at Auburn. That's kind of like Seth is going to spike what he's doing. I think at Auburn, and Randy and I have talked about this a million times. We've talked about in this meeting, something's going on there. The soil is good according to the test, and it's just that they need to be opened up. I don't think it's been done from what I understand for 8 years. Now talking to Dalton today, and you can speak more to this. He said, once we do it, it has to be done every year from that point on. It's not something we can just do once and wait 10 years to do it again. So he said that, in his opinion, would be non-negotiable, that if we do that this year, that means we have to do it every year. Which it's $12,000. I'm fine with that if the fairways are where they should be. Right now, they're not good. It's like just the grass won't grow. I don't know. It won't fill in. Those spots are terrible. So, and he has put some seed down, and it's starting to take certain spots. He's got a long way to go, but yeah, it looks like about $12,000, about $300 an acre. But to me, that's minimal cost. So we have good fairways.
Can you add tee boxes to that line as well?
Yeah, and it is tee boxes too. Yeah. All right.
Is that also fix 18?
Well, we hope. That's the one we got the soil sample thinking that there was contamination, something was off, and it came back great. So that was almost like the worst good news we've ever gotten, because then we have no idea what the problem is. Overseeding rough and the fairway spots, and from now until then, until we to get the grass growing there. Preventative herbicide spray for woody plants in the native area. The native area gets those little woody trees and different things growing up, so I'm trying to keep those from popping out. He needs to raise some sprinkler heads that are kind of buried down, so he's going to work on getting all those up where they pop out and work like they should. And then just kind of around the clubhouse, the shop area, and along the street there, just some beautification projects. It looks kind of rough, so working on all those things over this winter.
Overseeding in the fairways, is that just a temporary stopgap? Because we do intend to go back and put Zoysia back in those spots, correct?
Yeah, and we're also trying to work, and you being at the sod shop, you may know how big of a problem are we gonna have getting sod?
There should be Zoysia available next year.
So to fix those fairways, the plan is to sod, not seed. Am I reading that right?
The big spots, yeah. There's gonna be some spots where seeding, it's so bad, seeding's not gonna get us where we need to be, so. Yep. All right, and Ron's here at McDonald. Now I'll go through this. Ron, jump in. The irrigation system, so the second irrigation system we replace will be at McDonald. So we want to make sure we're in the best spot. We do all the planning, get everything in place so that we can start right in the off season. This one, we were very fortunate at Sim to be able to get the work started when we did, that there were crews available. We don't want to risk that happening. So we're going to start pretty much right away after the first year planning that and trying to get all the paperwork and the purchasing and all that stuff done, the RFP, so that everything's in place to start the work as soon as we can in the winter or late fall, winter. Fairway seeding, some ryegrass in the spring, and spot seed is needed. So kind of, if you have any questions.
Overseeding, I mean, there's some spots that are just gonna need to be touched up and seed added in the spring, just to fill in.
The same thing in the rough, the way he described it on here is on the side of the hole that has the cart path. You would basically seed from the edge of the fairway to the path, and on the opposite side, about 12 to 15 yards off the fairway. So you're getting the fairway in 15, 20 yards in each direction. Tree removal, again, waiting on forestry. Sand bunker, you all know we had a architect come in and give kind of a master plan on what they would like to see done with the bunkers. That involved eliminating a lot of bunkers. The bunkers that are out of play, like the ones on 16 that are out in the woods, basically, it's the weirdest thing ever. Bunkers where there's two bunkers side by side. Put that in one big bunker, or eliminate one of those bunkers, several different areas. So we would work on eliminating those bunkers in-house, and then have them ready to, put grass on come March. And then number 13, the pond overflow, where the water right now, the drainage pipe going from under the cart path, basically from one pond to the other, is gone. It's rusted and shot. So we would have to remove one section of that cart path, put a new pipe there, put that down, and that would, one thing, keep the water of the pond the way it should be, and help eliminate a lot of that water just runs over that cart path right there terribly when it gets too high. So, am I on point with all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions with Mac? Or additional things you'd like to see? Okay. And then Sim, obviously the big one the next 2 months is going to be the irrigation, kind of overseeing, making sure that's good. I do feel very good about the team of people that's going to be working on this. They're a very reputable firm. And the architect, really like working with him so far. So I feel very good about that project. Again, a lot of bunker drainage work throughout the course. Get the drainage working, get the sand, add sand to the bunkers, get the depth of the sand where it should be. Tree trimming. We've got a lot of work around the shop that he wants to get done. We want to add a storage container. So essentially like a railroad car, those that you see, it's like a big storage. We can do that for not much, for about $5,000 to $6,000, and have storage for all the things that he needs, chemicals and different things that he needs. So we're looking at adding that after the first of the year. And then he put new lighting in the shop because it couldn't see in there.
We're gonna need to move the fence for that.
For the storage unit, we're going to look at a couple different plans. I'm going to meet him out there next week, and we're going to see what it would take to do that. But I think we can do it without having to do a whole lot.
And notice if you moved it west, we'd have to take out a few trees and a lot of encampments.
Make me think about east-west, down by that river. My head it curves too much. I can't think of which way.
West is,
Yeah, okay.
towards the river.
Okay.
What about security at Sim? I mean,
I don't know if you heard about the incident.
yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Now, that was apparently they knew each other. They just happened to end up there. It wasn't someone there that did that, but it's a bad, terrible situation. But, yeah, we're working with the police department right now. We're going to end up putting a gate at the entrance of that whole back area where the park is, and they would close it. I can't remember the time they landed on, and we would open it in the mornings. But they're wanting to gate that off. Security is a huge issue right now. I've got employees that will not come to work unless someone's with them right now. It's them, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. And it seems to be getting worse over the last, in the winter time, that thins out, so you have more visibility, and it gets worse. So it's bad.
Very ideal to putting like a chain link fence that's pretty tall along that west side.
Yeah, I mean, we have a fence and they cut through it, and the first day it's up there. So, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't help, but yeah. Just put together, I don't know the details. So if I'm saying this wrong, I'm sorry, but there's some kind of like a task force they've kind of put together to help with this issue, and a plan that I'm hoping really, I mean, that has to be a target area because it's one of the worst areas in town. So hopefully they can come up with a solution to help those folks.
One of the things on Auburn, I thought Dalton had mentioned something about getting rid of some bunkers also, some that maybe don't come into play too much, like the back of 17. There's a couple of bunkers back there that very rarely see anybody in those. And there's a couple others that don't really come into play very much. And I think he said something about wanting to eliminate some of those too. I don't know if that's on this plan or this work plan, or if it's later down the line, or.
Potentially we could. I need to sit down with him and identify what those, I know we talked about it, but I need to get a course map and identify exactly what those are. See, so to me, a bunker that's too much out of play, I'm all in favor. There's so much cost and time involved in bunkers. So if you can eliminate bunkers, that does not change the whole, the way you play the whole, I'm all for it. So yeah, I can get with him and we can get the map and I get you included.
I know he had mentioned it one time when we were talking. I didn't know.
Yeah, I can get with him and we can discuss that. You want 2 minutes here?
Yeah.
That's the last thing. He's got it. Any other question while Trevor's going up about horses?
Oh, yeah. Probably enough. I've seen people in there.
Slides, I like it.
And that's one of them. We're already done with that one.
I'm gonna go over a few numbers. The date that this is set at was September 2nd through the 17th. That's how long I've been here. Since then, I've got 154,000 views on our posts and our reels. This is just Facebook. And I've gotten 2.1, it's 2,000 basically, constant interactions. That would be going to our web page, going to registration pages, things like that. Then this next slide, and then the next slide is comparing 23 to 24 with follows and reach. So through my time, I've gained 150 followers from September 2nd, basically to today. And that's 115% more than they did in the same time span last year, if that makes sense. So September 2nd to now 23 compared to 24. Same thing with the reach. It's probably kind of hard for you to see, but you can see the gray line compared to the blue line. And reach has been up 10.4%, which would be new unique accounts is what reach talking about. And then a little bit of F&B, talked about the new policy that we're going to roll out. Along with that, we've been working on training video, getting the staff doing the procedures that we need to do, including going to course by course, maybe once a month per course to touch up procedures, especially things that are happening more often than not. Other than that, I'm working on getting a new warmer for techs. They got to get a little bit smaller one. Looked at the numbers earlier that Sim and Mac are doing a great job with their F&B. And the biggest thing I want to say is the grab and go that they have. Sam and Mac have done awesome about just throwing stuff in a grab and go. Golfers don't want to order and wait. It's just open that door. Let's get this. Let's get back on the course. That's all I got. Any questions?
Done.
What were some of the items that you had at the Christmas party? Somebody was saying that you were trying out some new items at the Christmas party to kind of get a baseline.
Yeah, so the stuff that we served at the Christmas party is from our banquet. But I can go into this. We had egg rolls. We had very cool charcuterie boards. We had pulled pork sandwiches, and we also had queso and salsa. Yeah, so really wide variety of things, but
we had just enough food, and from what I could tell, everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's job.
So yeah, so he don't have to brag on himself, even at the park board meeting where we go through the social media results from the entire park and rec department, everyone's same, and then golf's just through the roof all of a sudden ever since he came on. So very good job he's done so far.
Excellent.
Good job, Trevor. Before we break, yes, sir.
I appreciate the better department of things to eat, you know, while they're there, because obviously when it kind of diminished, I just quit buying. But the one thing I did notice, and I don't know if it's changed, is I'd go to Sim's and I'd get this hot dog, and I'd go to Mac and I'd get this hot dog. Do we not save money if we buy the same thing over and over again and higher quantities, or, you know?
It gets kind of complicated, especially in these months. We're not trying to put in big orders to Cisco where we have to meet minimums. So it could be the case where we need 12 hot dogs. We have 10 players on our tee sheet. Let's run to Sam's to make sure we have something for the guys.
Okay.
So that might be more of like a winter type thing.
To your point, in the season, he came on, he basically, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. And that's one of the things we're really focused on is having consistency across the 4 courses where, you know, when you walk into any of the courses, these items are available. Yes.
Well, exactly. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Same thing.
All right, before we break, I want to say everyone have happy holidays. Thank you for all you've done this year. I'm looking forward to next year, get this year in the mirror, the rearview mirror. It's been a challenge, but I appreciate everything you all have done and hope you all have a wonderful holidays.
What's the date on next meeting?
On what?
Second? Is it the second?
Third.
Tuesday?
I will be remote for the next.
It'll be
Bye, guys.
Thank you, y'all.
I don't live there.
That security, just let me out, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
She'd raise the gate, but I appreciate you do that, so all I've got to do is scan it, come out. So,
Yeah,
that's easier than what we're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you next year.
Impressive.
Okay. See you next year.
You bet. See you later.
Thanks for taking care of Ben. I couldn't make it.
I did it at the last meeting too.
Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Really enjoying it. A lot of joy comes when a machine starts up that's been sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, yeah. Those cobwebs come out.
I like it. Only jumbo dogs and Mac.
How done?
Well, it took a lot of years to get somebody on. We got somebody.
I'm excited. I'm here to stay. Yeah, so far so good. So
Did Sam's get either 2 or 3 places?
I believe so. I believe so, but I'm fortunate enough to have some backpack full of tools and I can get around pretty
Since
good.
started getting around the ditch.
I heard. I feel bad. My tools are there now.
I got some work yesterday and then. That's why we're in number 8. It is.
It's the week I'm.
Just come.
Your deal, but I thought maybe if
bring my lunch, I don't leave. And treat it. Yeah. Seems pretty hot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll take a picture. Yeah. So the new one feels lighter than last year's. Take a picture. Yeah, I think maybe they reduced the head weight around that pond. So maybe Jess and I are gonna go a little longer shaft.
Absolutely.
Hopefully I would, yeah, it was hot. It's good. Can't imagine if you were, it's good.
They look great.
Get it. Oh my God, yeah.
It's a big